advantage of the regional markets to ECOWAS countries?
I think before we talk of mandate of ERERA, we need to know the reasons why ERERA came to be. There will be no ERERA if there is no regional market. So if we go back to our 1960, we have electricity cross-border trade based on regional solidarity because of geopolitical nature of the sub-region at that time. Nigeria had an agreement with Niger Republic to be exporting electricity because we are sharing River Niger. And there was an agreement between Nigeria and Niger Republic that Niger Republic will not dam River Niger because if it does, the volume of water that is reaching Nigeria may not be enough to generate electricity in Nigeria. And we have two generation stations on that river, Kainji and Java. If you go elsewhere too, most of the rivers in West Africa have been shared by two or more countries. So we have like an arrangement, as I said earlier, on a regional solidarity among the ECOWAS member states. Even before the creation of ECOWAS, that there should be this cross-border electricity trade based on that. So somewhere in 2009, there was a decision taken by ECOWAS to create WAP, West African Powerful. So the main mandate of West African Powerful is to promote and develop generation and transmission infrastructures within the region, and then to coordinate the connection and integration of all the local transmission and generation stations into one complex network. So after the creation of ECOWAS, of WAP, sorry, it means we are set for a larger cross-border electric trade. And then you cannot actually do cross-border trade or electricity business without regulating it. So the ECOWAS member states also created in 2008 ERERA. ERERA means ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority. And the mandate of ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority is to regulate the cross-border electric trade, to train local. When I said local, means the individual state regulators like Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, and if you have one in Ghana and all other nation states within the sub-region, and also to draft ruling documents like market rules, like market procedures, dispute resolution, and to constitute committees that will have ERERA to govern the regional market.
The West African electricity market was launched in 2018.
Yes.
As the regulator. What impact has the market made so far on the electricity demand and supply within the region?
Yeah, it has made a lot of impact. Before the launching of the regional market, all the cross-border trade within West Africa are based on regional solidarity. As I said, there is no rules governing that. It's at the discretion of the transmission station, the generation station to do whatever they want. Though there are agreements, but states have been violating those agreements. If I take an example of CE CV has been violating agreements. Benin Republic and Togo have been violating the agreement signed with NEPA or PHC. We've been having a lot of problems with that. But with the coming of the market is divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the establishment, proper establishment of ERERA, ECOWAS Regional Regulatory Commission. Then you have the draft of the market rules, the market procedures, the business dispute resolution, and then you have the bilateral agreement forms and procedures to sign, and we have all done that. It is expected that all the grandfathered agreement, means the agreements that have been existing before the launching of the regional market, should be transformed to regional bilateral agreement in accordance with ERERA. So, and that has been taking place. You have now transformed the agreement between Nigeria and Niger into a bilateral agreement. Nigeria and Benin Republic, and Nigeria, Benin Republic, and Togo into a bilateral agreement. And it has taken shape. The investors, the donor agencies are taking us very seriously now, because if everything is being monopolized by the government, it means there will be no progress. They cannot invest their money into it. So there is a lot of progress. A lot of progress has been made, and we are lucky that we have our MD at the same time is the chairman of WAP, and he has been very pushy. He has been impressively working very hard to see that not even the local market that is developing, even the regional market is developing, and he is lucky to have a very brilliant and intelligent co-workers.
What does ERERA and the West African electricity market hope to achieve with this declaration? And if it has, what stage in the market development are you in now, and what's next?
There are a lot of things that need to be achieved. I'm always sad to say this out, that the West African sub-region is the least developed region, or one of the least developed regions in the world, one of the least industrialized in the world, and one of the least urbanized in the world. In the same region, if it is not the poorest, it's among the poorest in the world. By 2010-2016, the total amount of electricity that was consumed in the whole sub-Saharan Africa, if you take away North Africa, if you take away South Africa as a country, is almost the same energy that is consumed by New York, with a population of only 19.7 million, consuming almost the same electricity with 790 million people. So you can see the amount or the level of energy poverty we have in Africa. And if you come down to West Africa, it's even worse. We have total consumption capacity now of about 58 gigawatt hour. Out of that 58 gigawatt hour, Nigeria, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire consumed about 80% of that. And Nigeria alone is consuming 50% of that. And what is the generation, on generation capacity as at today? Maximum 5,000 megawatt. Well, we can generate much more than that, and transmission network can will much more than that, maybe 10, even 11 megawatt. But from the distribution aid, we have a lot of problems. I'm not saying we don't have problems ourselves. We've been saying this, like the N-1 criteria we don't have, or N-2 criteria we don't have. If you go to generation stations, they will tell you they don't have gas. And it is unfortunate this gas is being sent to our neighbors, those that share the same electricity market with us. They don't complain of any gas. In Nigeria, is either the amount of gas is not available, or now the pressure is very low, or there are impurities. It's only TCN, in my view, today, under the leadership of Small Government, that is driving the whole value chain. Because we are about 70%, I'm sorry to say this, 70% sufficient. Yes, we do, there is no N-1 criteria. Yes, the generation stations are concentrated, is one of our problems, concentrated in just one side of the country. So transporting it down to other parts of the country, it's a problem. You experience low voltage and all sorts of problems. If the generation stations are sparsely located, we will not have some of the problems we are having today. And we've been commissioning even 330 kV stations in-house when he came in. 132 kV stations in-house, upgrading transmission stations. Maybe we replace 50 MVA, 150 MVA with even 300 MVA. So we are doing a lot. Then we have started procuring SCADA. SCADA is very important for the management of the grid, and it is also very important for our regional transmission network and cross-border trade too. So all these problems need to be solved, and they are going to be solved with the coming of the regional market. Now, we are producing almost 90% of the gas that is going to be used for the generation. 80% of our fuel is gas, and Nigeria can supply all the 14. We have 15 countries, but all the 14 countries that are supposed to be interconnected can be provided sufficiently by Nigeria with gas. It means that our gas sector will be very viable, very profitable. We have the cheapest and the lowest tariff today because they have to buy the gas from us, and then they have to make money and make profit out of that. Then we have the largest population. With West Africa is about 5 million square kilometers. We are occupying only 18% of that 5 million square kilometers, and we have 52% of the population. 52% of the population, with 200, as estimated population of 200 million. We have 52% of the population. It's like we are having the whole market into our hand, and we are going to make a lot of money. You see, I always say this: if you have, as long as electricity is available, you must use it. You either must plug in or connect your refrigerator, charge your phone, do whatever, plug in your computer and the rest. But we all brought our cars here. We parked them outside. We don't use the fuel in there. But as long as electricity is going to be provided, you must use it. So that is where the advantage comes from. And secondly, all over the world, in West Africa now, with the 10 regional, with the 10 countries within the sub-regions that are connected, only 7% of the total generation that is being traded in cross-border electricity trade. But that is not peculiar with Africa. If you look at the oil and gas sector, 64% of the consumption is being exported in cross-border trade, but in electricity is only 30% also. And there is no country in the world that is practically, I use the word practically self-sufficient as mighty as United States imports electricity from Canada and export at the same time. Um, Germany export to Switzerland and also import from Switzerland, and there are so many reasons why you should do that. But our one peculiar problem in West Africa is poverty, lack of industrialization, the lack of urbanization. So if electricity will be accessible and affordable in West Africa, it is estimated that 50 to 60% of poverty in West Africa will be wiped out, will be removed among the poorest sub-regions in the world. Right now, the World Bank ranked only Nigeria among all the 15 countries in West Africa among the 30 largest economies in the world. The rest, they barely made 100, between 100 and 197. And in that ranking, we have a total of 217 countries. The list among us took the position of 144th position. So if you have electricity available, there will be industrialization. Then the economy will improve. Then urbanization will also, if you don't have urbanization, then you are nowhere.
When the market is in full operation, what are your expectations?
Yeah, the expectations is supposed to be, yes, it has started, but it's not in full operation. Means we have to reach the third phase of the market. The first phase, as I said earlier on, is the establishment of ERERA, then the draft of all the ruling documents, then the constitution of the consultative committees, which has been done. And the second one is supposed to be a formalization of the grandfathered agreement, the agreements that have been existing before the commencement of the regional market must be formalized and transformed into the regional bilateral agreement in accordance with ERERA standard and procedures. That has been done and has been going on for some times now. The second phase of the market will be marked by the completion of International Coordination Center situated in Cotonou, and the transformation of the WAF I've told you earlier on West African Powerful into system market operator. Because it cannot be WAF at that time. It must be transformed to system market operator, performing the functions of the market operator and the system operator in Nigerian version. Then once that is done, it means the whole region is set for a larger cross-border electricity trade. And it means we will see a lot of profits from Nigerian generation stations, Nigerian transmission company of Nigeria. And then, because almost everybody is waiting for Nigerian electricity. As I told you earlier on, we have the cheapest tariff because we sell the gas out. We don't buy at the rate they buy. Maybe probably that is why they even have its availability there while we do not. So the reason why, one of the reasons why you must have cross-border electricity trade, because the energy resources are not evenly distributed. You may have water, I mean river, whereas there may not be river somewhere else. You may have abundant sunshine, someone may not. You may have gas, while someone may not. It's just to bring all these resources together, generate the electricity from different sources and share it. If you do that, you prevent the Nigerian people, I mean people from Niger, from coming into Nigeria looking for jobs. You prevent people from Cotonou coming in. You even stop, what do you call it, smuggling. because people will have a lot of jobs to do.
How does ERERA interface with member states' regulatory bodies within the region?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier on, one of the functions and mandate of ERERA is to train the regional. It may interest you to know that presently it's only Nigeria and Ghana that have regulatory commission. The rest do not. They don't even have grid code or market rules. They have what they call connections code. Most of them are trying to put in place all these documents now. So one of the mandate is to train them. And then you cannot be a member of the regional electricity market if you are not a member recognized in your own country, recognized by your own regulator. They are working hand in hand to see that, in essence, there is nothing will be legal or illegal in your country that will not be legal or illegal at the regional level. The only thing is the harmonization of this connection code, the harmonization of the market rules, the harmonization of the operation procedures. You have to harmonize, so like you have to have a common frequency, you have to have a common voltage, you have to have a common protection scheme, you must have a common, so everything, even tariff should be harmonized, and it's even one of the functions and mandate of ERERA to formulate and harmonize tariff across the region, not even across the region, to harmonize tariff with the rest of African sub-region, North Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa, because in its mandate it should also supersede and supervise and regulate, third-party access. We have countries already that have been doing business with countries that are members of ECOWAS, but themselves are not ECOWAS members, like Mauritania and Morocco. So it's also to regulate that, the cross-border trade between those two countries. The idea is all to have electricity internet across the world. Africa will be connected to Europe, Europe will be connected to Asia, Asia will be connected to other parts of the world, so that the whole world will be connected.
What are the benefits of Nigerian participation in the regional market?
I think I've said most of them. We have 50% of the consumption, and should we continue what we are doing now, it means maybe we are going to have much more than what we have now. Everybody is waiting for our transmission system, not because I work in transmission station, but with the present administration we don't have problem. We are doing everything possible to see that out, because the key to regional transmission, regional cross-border trade is the transmission station. If you can generate 100,000 megawatt, if your transmission network is not robust, you cannot do anything about it, you cannot export. So, and he has realized that, the MD has realized that, and he's doing it. It's not limited to Nigeria. He made sure that even in other, because in the third phase of the electricity market, you have to do even the ahead market. You can ask for electricity for just 1 hour. You can ask electricity today and tell my supplier I need that tomorrow. And the transit will be taken care of. You may be in Ghana and you may be buying electricity from one of the generators in Nigeria. In between Nigeria and Ghana, you have Benin, you have Togo. So the transit too is a problem. So if the transmission between Benin, Togo and Ghana is not robust as Nigerian network, then there will be a problem. Then we will be transporting or transmitting in vain, because of the transit portion of it, because it's not going to be used in these two countries. What you injected in the system is going to be now consumed in Ghana. And in between, you have two transmission stations that are not robust. So what the MD has been doing is to make sure that any network that is identified for the transmission or now isolated for regional cross-border trade must to be robust, must to meet all standards in his capacity as the chairman of work. And he has been doing that, and everybody is G3. If you are not up to the standard, you are not going to participate. That was what he said. So Nigeria is going to be the greatest or the highest beneficiary of the regional transmission market. We have 50% of generation, we have 50% of the consumption, and then we are doing more with what the present management is doing, improving our capacity to manpower, improving our generation, and it's only the distribution side I think that will suffer if and only if they do not change their ways.